I'm really happy that you're here because I know for a fact that you will benefit from these lessons if you apply the strategies, if you do the exercises, and if you focus exactly on what I teach you to focus on. Okay? Now, it doesn't matter what your level is. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what your level is, because we're not really doing the traditional English course thing here. Okay? We've got something really special, and let's just get straight to the point because I don't want to waste any of your time. Now, I know that you have some English language problems because otherwise you wouldn't be here. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, how could he possibly know what my English language problems are? Well, in fact, I do. I don't just know that you have some English problems. I know exactly what your problems are. And I'm going to offer you the solutions. And not only am I going to offer you the solutions, but I'm going to show you how to apply them. And I'm going to provide you with all of the tools and resources that you need in order to get this job done. Okay? So what is the problem? Well, or rather, how do I know what problem you have with English? Well, let's say I'm generalizing a little bit, but over the past 15 years, I have worked with thousands of English language students, and they all tell me the same thing. They all have the same problems. And the reason they have these problems is quite simply because the language courses that they've been doing are not looking in the right direction. Okay, they're really good and they're really well prepared and the teachers are fantastic and so on and so on. I really don't want to be criticizing anybody here, but let's just look at exactly what the problem is. So let's imagine we look at the first of all at the 6 language levels. We've got A1, A2, which is beginner, B1, B2, and then we have C1 and C2. Okay, so we've basically got beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Okay, now let's just take an example. What I'm about to tell you really applies to any of these levels. But let's just take an example. B2, first certificate level. If you're familiar with Cambridge First Certificate, this will give you an idea of the kind of level that you're looking at. Now, this is quite a good level of English to achieve if you really achieve it. So let's look at what happens. I get people coming in, they have this level and they say, Nigel, help me. I need some help with my English. What can I do? I go and I evaluate their level, and what do I discover? Here's exactly what I discover. When I test their reading comprehension corresponds. In other words, they can read an English language text and understand most of it. Most people can actually navigate the web, you can respond to some emails, you can do some things in written form in English depending on your level, and it's really not a problem. You know, reading is not the main problem here. When we look at their writing skills, there will be a drop in terms of what the student can actually express in written form and comparing it to what they can read in written form. So what I'm saying is that the student can't really produce a language text, a text in English, in written English, at the same level as a text that they can easily read. Now, let's look at what's next. Listening. What happens here? What happens is, basically, students will typically understand less than 50% when they're listening to English compared to what they would understand if they read the same language. Now, this is a really important point because it really demonstrates that it's not a problem of knowledge. If you can understand the written text, reading it with your eyes, then there's no problem. You understand how the language works. You understand meanings of words and so on. If you can't understand English when it's spoken, it's simply because your ear is not trained. It's not processing the sounds in real time, and it's not feeding that information, or they're not feeding that information to your brain. Now, what happens when we look at the speaking? And this is really based on what students have been telling me. It's not something I've invented myself. B2 level, following traditional language training courses or language courses in general, where do you think the speaking level is here? It's about 2 steps back. Okay, and that explains why probably about 80% of language learners will make mistakes, even if they're at a B2 level. They'll make most of their mistakes when they speak English between an A1 and A2 level. And that's the problem. At least they are the problems, listening and speaking. And the reason is that all of this all of this is a result of focusing on what? Yes, on grammar. Grammar, 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 because it's academic. Now, the English language is grammar. And there's no escaping that. Obviously, we need to know the grammar. But we don't need to study grammar. We need to take the grammar, we need to understand it, and then we need to practice it, and then we need to apply it in real life situations. Okay? And that's basically the secret to solving your English speaking and listening comprehension problems. Okay. Now, I'm going to go into very great detail into the various steps here. So this is really just an introduction lesson, just to give you an idea of where the starting point is, where we're starting from. The problem is that if you move on from a B2 level to a C1 level, what's going to happen? Okay, you're going to make some progress, and you're going to step it up all the way across, but you're still going to have this big gap in the middle between what you can read and what you can actually express when you speak. Okay? So, that's it for the moment. In the next lesson, we're going to be looking at exactly how to fix this problem. We've got two really main areas of focus here during these lessons on this online course. The first is quickly learning how to speak fluently, how to make sentences, and the second is learning how to understand spoken English, regardless of who's actually speaking to you. The third part will also involve vocabulary, because it's very important that you build your vocabulary day by day and that you do it in a very focused way, because it's not that difficult. Okay? So, until the next lesson, be good, and I look forward to seeing you soon.